Let's get started. I am not going to say much today, which is always good for me and for you, I take it. The reason I'm not going to say much is because we have guests today. I will try to use my best German on here. Dirk Simanek and then Geralt Singelmann. And they will be the presenter, not in German, but in English. If you want to ask questions in German, you can, even in the chat. I will do my best to read them or translate them in English and get them answered as well. Geralt, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Well, hello, everyone. Yeah, what we want to show today is a solution called 3C PDF and the technology behind it. And I'm doing the presentation because, for one part, I'm involved in creating the next version of it. The father of 3C PDF is Dirk, but we agreed that possibly the language barrier is slightly lower for me than for him, so I agreed to talk to you guys. What is 3C PDF? You've seen the invitation. I suppose you do have some sort of expectation. And let me just show you some basics. I'll clean up my screen somewhat. Right. 3C PDF addresses a problem that we identified a few years ago, or that's not really new, that PDFs have to be, well, inspected and possibly corrected before they can be printed. And we do have several, well, very capable solutions to do that. There are two problems with those solutions. One is they're not exactly cheap to buy, and they're not exactly easy to use. So if you run a copy shop with a limited amount of PDFs that you have to produce, that's possibly, well, prohibitive to invest in something like, e.g., the Callus PDF toolbox. So the idea was to take the toolbox, and as you probably all know, the toolbox can be, well, commandeered by command line, and to put that into the cloud, to write an API so that you basically have a Docker container which contains the toolbox and some steering software, and which opens, well, a limited amount of commands to the outside. And that's basically what 3C PDF did in the kernel. What you need additionally, of course, is some sort of UI that you can upload your PDF into the cloud and specify certain parameters, what the PDF is about and what you want to have checked or corrected. And that UI could, of course, be a web application or a web page, or it could, of course, be an app that you can download onto your Macintosh or onto your mobile devices, whatever, so that the app communicates with the backend in the cloud, and the backend communicates with the API, which controls the PDF toolbox. And the PDF toolbox actually is the engine behind 3C PDF. What I would like to do first is just show you the app before we go somewhat deeper into the topic later. If you want to test it, try it out for yourself, or want more information, the URL for the web page is 3cpdf.com, quite simple. And you see you have the possibility to load a test version down and get the details about the prices for the abo, for the subscription models, etc. Right, start the app. Well, one aim of the app was to be as simple as possible, so that you don't need to study much to use it. So basically you just go into files and say, I need to upload a new file to check, and I'll take one from my folder here. You possibly know that. I want to do no corrections on this one. I just want to check the files and have to push the zoom buttons around a bit. So the file gets uploaded into the cloud, into the backend of the app. The backend communicates with the API. Then the toolbox does the job. The API communicates back to the backend of the app. And as soon as that all's done, I get the information this has finished and see the PDF itself. So explaining what you see right now, most of it should be quite self-explanatory. You see I have a lot of metadata down here. You see the page sizes, you see the separations, the inks contained in the PDF. You see the layers contained in the PDF. You see the fixes, which are none because I just checked it and didn't correct it. And you see the list of possible errors or informations that you would like, what you want to address. The texts that you see here were written by 3C PDF with the aim, again, to be as comprehensible as possible. And if you want to know more about what does that mean, just click on it and you get more information about that. Currently, I think, Dirk, we have 3 languages, German, English, and Spanish, I think. Correct?
Yes. In the moment, we have only 3 languages, but in the next version, we start in December this year, we have 10 languages.
Okay, so the entire concept is built in the way that we are quite open to add additional languages as we go. Right, if I want to see where exactly a problem is located in my PDF, I can just say I want to show the errors. And if you know the toolbox, you possibly know the styling of this thing. Because the app just puts some comments onto the areas where the problems are located with the explanation that we've seen before. So you should find everything quite easily. What to do next? You can either download the report, just show that. So PDF is created, I can download it, I can print it from this window. I can also email the report if I want to send it to my customer, whatever. The app will saves your signature, so you just have to write whatever comment you need to the customer to know, and send it off. You can download the PDF, of course, which doesn't make sense with this one because I didn't change it. And you can, of course, also email the PDF. When I go into files, you see the 3C PDF app saves your files, everything you do for 2 days, and then they are deleted. All the data, well, it doesn't save any data longer than the 2 days that we need, and say that 3C PDF is completely DSGVO compliant with that. So more about the organization of the app. You have the account button down here. You can organize, it can control everything concerning your subscription and your language and your email signature, etc., directly from within the app. You can do it from the from the website as well. I'll show you that in a second, but basically the idea was you don't have to leave the app. You can do everything in here. There's a home button with a news area. user guide in here, a link to the YouTube channel with some explanatory videos, and the AGB, of course. One news from July, okay, is that we not only offer the app, but also a web page. Just copy that and go over to my browser. And so we can do everything you can do in the app, you can also do in the web page, basically. You see, it's the same backend, it's just a different technology to talk with the backend that's located, of course, in the cloud. Right. I think, yeah, let's go back to the app for the next bit. Some of the things we can do in the corrections. I would like to take this one, just a test document I built in Pages, in Apple Pages, so it's basically an Office document. You see there is no bleed in there. I've afterwards changed this area into a spot file, so some basic things that you would possibly want to change, and let's see how that's done in the app. So go into Files, say upload your PDF. Okay, oh, I'm sorry, the controls of the Zoom app get in the way sometimes. I have to push them around a bit. So I've loaded the Buch PDF. I go into the custom corrections, and let's talk about those for a second. First, 3C PDF addresses several printing processes. I can use digital printing, I can use offset printing, newspaper printing, or large format. The types of corrections I can do depend somewhat on what kind of printing process I use. For example, if I choose offset printing, I get asked, do you need PDF X4 or PDF X1A? Because the experience is that many in the offset area, especially if you think worldwide, still depend on having a PDF 1A PDF file to process correctly. So that's something we offer both there. For all the other three, we expect that PDF X4 should be good enough. Newspaper printing, of course, uses different color profiles. If you do a color conversion, come to that in a second. But I stay with the digital for a second. We can, of course, convert all the pages to an image in 200 dpi, as you see. You can scale the PDF with some default scaling factors. Turn that off in a second. You can, if the PDF contains print marks, you can either remove them or you convert them to black only. You can create bleed. I want to do that here. You could reduce the total ink coverage. You can convert RGB to CMYK, and you can convert spot color to CMYK. If I turn these off, I can also convert to grayscale. Another important thing is the basic standard troubles, overprint problems that you have, meaning you have a white that doesn't knock out or a black that doesn't overprint. Turn that on, and of course, some areas still want text to be converted to paths. So to be on the safe side, we included that as well. The idea is to not get a user overload, to not offer too many, too complicated options, but to address the most common needs of people who don't have the toolbox themselves. Say check and print, check and fix. So same procedure as before, gets uploaded to the cloud Cloud talks to the API does its work, sends the result back, and creates a report. And as soon as that's done, I get the number of fixes that 3CPDF did with the PDF. For example, removed the art and crop box, converted all spot colors to in your PDF to CMYK, etc. Added a mirrored bleed to your PDF by 3 millimeters. And if I download that, put it on the desktop and have a look at it in Acrobat, you see this is CMYK, and you see the bleed was added in 3 millimeter widths, as said. Just to be, I think we do have the time, so I would like to show this file as well. It's an American template for a restaurant menu. It contains a spot color, it contains printer marks, etc. And I would like to change that, and I think I'll use the web front end just to show off that that of course works as well. I want the, oh, I'm in German here, sorry. I want to create, no, I don't want to create, and I want to convert the spot colors to CMYK, check and fix. And I don't think I need to download it. You see the printer marks are gone, and the separation will just cyan and yellow now. So job done, basically. The fixes, again, what he did, this time in German. Half of you, I expect, understand German, so that's okay. Right. That basically is 3CPDF. The aim was to keep it simple, and I think that has been successfully done. The processing power in the background is great. I think you know that the Colors Toolbox is GVG certified, and so thereby 3CPDF is too. I would like, because you are the names are recognized, are quite technologically savvy, so I would like to spend a few minutes going into the technical background. The idea of what happens with the toolbox in the cloud is that you need a KFPX file or a profile that creates a report that can be analyzed and worked with in the front end. The toolbox has basically two ways to do that. I suppose most of you know that when you have a pre-flight profile, that you can create an XML file from that. But if you have a process plan, that's not quite so simple. What you can do when you have a process plan is to create something Carlos calls a var dump, a dump of all the variables that you created during the processing in the process plan. And I just wanted to mention that that's the background. I come back to that to the reason later. So this is a very, very simple process plan I created. It's not the one in the background of 3CPDF. What I have here is two profile files and two scripts. And the script does basically nothing more than reading the results from the previous step and saving it, taking all the checks and all the fix-ups from the previous step and saving that in the variables of the process plan. So basically, the idea is you do something, you remember what you did, you do the next thing, you remember what you did, and afterwards you dump all the results so that the front end can do something with it. And for those of you who possibly haven't seen that before, just show that as well. Do I have that open? Yeah. So I don't have to type, I've prepared that. This is basically how you, well, call the toolbox by the command line. And that's basically what the API does in the Docker container. So what I did just now is I called this KFPX file on this PDF, and I got this fixed PDF down here. And this is the JSON of the var dump. I only have one check. I have no fix up right now. So this is a very simple, oh no, I do have fix up. I've converted the spot files. So this is what you get with the var dump. You get, I did this to one thing with this coordinates on the page. And that's why the front end can show you what happened exactly. If you haven't seen that before and you think, oh, that's interesting, Four Pees has several videos on their YouTube channel that explain how to work with variables and a command line interface with the toolbox. I learned some of what I know about it there myself, so highly recommended. Okay, another thing I would like to show is when we go back to this. 3C PDF is basically the envelope for this. The envelope that simplifies the API itself. And what we use in this Docker container, of course, is one, well, KFPX file, one preflight profile that is as capable as possible, and which can be parameterized. So what exactly should happen and what shouldn't happen, and so we have made this simple with simple parameters to steer something which is quite complicated in here. What 3C PDF wants to evolve to, we don't have that yet, but that is it's thought about in 2022 to open this into a white label solution. So basically not to give customers who are technically savvy enough to realize that, to not use just the app, but to build their own UI, possibly build their own profile, their own KFPX file, and run their own Docker container. Just use the basic technology, the API technology of 3C PDF to do that. And just to illustrate that, we have a testing webpage. That's here. And it uses the same KFPX file as 3C PDF does. So the options you see here are basically the same as we saw in the app, with a simple difference that we currently have 2 KFPX files on the machine, and you can choose which one you want to use. That's something the API offers, and well, don't have to upload and wait again. Just show the result. Go in here. And you see, the one reason I wanted to show this is the status reports. So basically what the API offers you is to do one of 3 operations. I can request a quick check. I can request to save the pages of the PDF file as images. And of course, I can request a preflight to run the KFPX file. And the API sends the successes back via a callback to this web page, giving the result of the quick check of the save as image and the result of the pre-flights. So the metadata comes from the quick check data, the color spaces and the font as well, and the checks and the fix-ups are the IDs of the thing that the profile did in there. And quite important for the next version of 3CPDF, we haven't run that running yet, but we have it runnable, just not fully integrated yet. We will do a virus check for everything that is uploaded. I think that's the first, as far as I know, with PDF Cloud solutions. So 3CPDF has a cooperation with Kaspersky, and so everything that gets uploaded first runs against the Kaspersky server, and only if it's virus-free will we do anything more with it. So basically take this page as a promise that we will open the thing that you can do with 3CPDF to integrate it into your own solution. What we have right now as a user-friendly app and web page, and yeah, that's all I have prepared for me. Any questions?
Thank you very much to begin with, thank you for the praise about the variables. Much appreciated.
Yeah, I loved your phones.
I'll return the favor, and I'll say that the trick with using the var dump report I had not heard before. That's actually quite interesting. I might have to use that at some spot myself. I had two questions of my own. I have one that I got from the chat. So let me start with the ones I had. This is just being not in the German-speaking part of Europe, I think, but you mentioned DSGVO, if I remember the abbreviation correctly. I didn't know what that was, but I'm assuming that this is just GDPR, but then the
Yes,
German...
yes, I could remember GDPR, yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. You are running this on Amazon or on something else?
On something else. We have a cloud host located in Germany and in Austria.
Okay.
So this stays in Europe.
Yeah, which makes it easier to be GDPR compliant for sure.
I want to say something to the virus check next year. We don't send any files to Kaspersky. We have our own API in our cloud, and we use only the technology from Kaspersky.
Okay, and then the pre-flight result will be reported on in the front end as well as the...
Yes. Yes,
it's actually quite cool, and I think you're right. I think this is the first time I hear about this this as well in an API like that. So very cool. Question about the fix-ups. Before I ask what I wanted to ask, if anyone else has questions, please just enter them in the chat or speak up. Now is a very good time to do that because I will stop talking at some point. You talked about fix-ups and you said that you wanted them to remain simple as possible, and I fully understand that. Is there a way to extend them, or would that need to be a feature request to you and then you see whether that can be integrated in some way?
Well, 3CPDF uses one KFPX file for everything. So if you can argue that we should add a fix-up or a check that isn't in there right now, we can easily update the KFPX file on the cloud. So that's offered. So as long as it's possible and we know how to do it in the toolbox, of course, we can integrate new feature requests that we deem sensible.
Okay. Yeah, if they're not sensible, it doesn't make any sense. And something similar but different from Steve in the audience, if he is still here. Yes, he is. Is you showed options for digital print and then offset, I believe, and LFP and something else that I've now forgotten. Is there any option for example, digital packaging and by extension for packaging in general, or would you think that that would lead too far in what you're doing with this?
Not in a moment, because our target group normally are copy shops and small digital printer.
Yeah.
And I think we want to have it easily, and it's not our target group in the moment.
Yeah, and but I guess from a technology point of view, there isn't really a reason why that wouldn't work.
No.
It's just a different target group.
The conception is open enough to offer it in the future, but right now.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I think that were the questions that I've seen. So I think your explanation was as clear as the application itself, and people understand what you were saying. That's good. If there are no other questions, then all that rests me is to thank you for your explanation. Thanks very much for sharing that. Thank you to everyone else to join. As we said, you will have the recording online as soon as it has been processed, which typically takes a few days. One last note before we say goodbye is that the session for next week will not be on Thursday, because Thursday is a bank holiday, at least in some European countries. I don't know where exactly, but it is over here in Belgium, so no session on Thursday. Instead, that will be on Tuesday, which is the 9th, if I'm thinking correctly. So for once, we will have a cafe on Tuesday at 4 p.m. All of the dates and subjects are on the 4 Pees website. Just go to company and then events, or if I'm not very mistaken, 4pees.com/events, and you will get the full list and can subscribe to any of the sessions that are interesting for you. If you have questions afterwards about this topic, don't hesitate to send the email to these 3CPDF people directly, or send something to us, and we will be very happy to forward it to them, obviously. Thank you again, Dirk and Geralt, and we will see all of you in a next session for sure. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.